So you recovered from this horrendous ordeal. What was next?
Yes, it's car crash after car crash. So we carried on going that way with my leg between the wheel and the wheel arch.
So then you wake up and you realise you're now an amputee.
So that was a weird day.
How do you come to terms with it?
And that was the way of kind of dealing with it.
Paul, hello.
Hi, Lucy.
Hello, we are actually pod on tour at the moment because we are in Gun Hill Studios. What are we doing here, Paul?
So we are doing the photo shoot for the new cars just before we go out for the first media day next week at Donington.
And how much fun have you had today?
I have had the most fun today. Jamie and I have asked around for nearly all of it, but we've got some great shots and the cars look absolutely amazing. The wraps are all got on at the last minute and they look superb this year.
And what a team at Gun Hill. We've been well looked after today.
The guys here are just as larky as us, but very professional and have made the whole thing a thoroughly enjoyable experience. So yeah, it's been amazing. So
I thought we'd have a chat about you, Paul, a get to know Paul session. Because we're really lucky that we've got lots of new followers and our community keeps growing. So some people won't know much about you yet, despite the fact that you've been with us for a while. How nervous are you about this conversation?
Very nervous. Yeah. Low profile is always safest, but no, I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. Okay, so I'm going to take you back, not too far. Don't worry. So your background, you are actually ex-military, aren't you?
Yes, really enjoyed that life. Came to a bit of an abrupt end and I had a quite bad accident back in 2006. That ended that life and I became a civilian and sort of had to reinvent myself a little bit whilst going through therapy and kind of recovering from that accident.
So let's unpick that a little bit. So first of all, what were you doing in the military?
As little as possible for as long as possible. I was doing all sorts. I was basically at the time doing some training, and I was out in Egypt doing a diving course with some really good friends of mine. It was a military expedition, and I had a deep diving accident called a bends, and yeah, that messed me up pretty bad.
So I think a lot of people have probably heard of getting the bends, but nobody actually knows what it is. What happened?
So I still don't fully understand the mechanics of it, but if you imagine when you open a bottle of Coke and you see all the bubbles suddenly become really big and kind of come to the surface, that's what happens inside your body if you come up too quickly. I didn't come up too quickly, but I had a hole in my heart that meant that I had a lot more gas in my body than there should have been. So I did a normal dive about 40 meters, and as I came to the surface there was too much gas, and as it expanded it couldn't escape. So as I'm coming further towards the surface, the gas, instead of coming out of my body, is just getting stuck inside all the blood vessels, and it's like being food blended from the inside out. So spinal cord, brain, all the really sensitive bits, they just kind of get minced up.
Oh my God. So what was the resulting impact on you? What happened?
I was learning to walk and talk for a few years after that. It was back to, it was like being really drunk at the time. You sort of can't quite work out what's going on. Everything sort of starts to spin and you stop becoming you. It's a really odd sensation, but your brain just sort of partially shuts down, and so does your nervous system. And you're not really aware of what's going on. They then put you in a hyperbaric chamber and they recompress you to try and get the bubbles to go back down again and then off gas naturally. But the damage is done at that point. It was for me anyway. So I was lucky that I survived it, but I was unlucky with what I was left with after it happened.
So how long was that period of recovery?
It was about 4 or 5 years, and it was quite a gradual kind of period. So it started off just with really basic stuff, trying to get my speech back, trying to get cognition back, and really, really basic stuff. And then it's a real slow burn to get back to something that you would recognize as being a sort of normal walking, talking person. It still affects me, mainly when I'm tired. I struggle with speech sometimes, but for the most part, I've done some really, really hard work with the physio team, and they were amazing at getting me back to where I was. So I was quite glad they were there.
Wow. And so this is a mix of being in hospital and recovery at home, or was it a long period in hospital? No,
it was a long. And initially, I moved back to Norfolk, and then couldn't really cope up there on my own because I was away from my family. And there's a really good treatment centre down in Hampshire, so I got then repatriated back down to there, and they sort of took me under their wing and sort of helped me get through the next few years.
So that took you to Hampshire, which is where you're based now?
It's where I'm based now, yeah. It's where I'm originally from, and then I moved around with the army quite a bit, and then I ended up going back there purely by fluke because that's where the best treatment was, and I really like it, so I've stayed.
So, I mean, that's quite a significant part in anybody's life story. So what was the next chapter? So you recovered from this horrendous ordeal. What was next?
Yeah, so the biggest part of it really was when I then missed the life I had, because I went from being very active and running around to being really inactive and sort of not being with my sort of closest friends. And I tried to replace that with starting sort of motorcycle racing, because that was one thing that kind of mimicked. It was lots of camaraderie, lots of teamwork. It's close knit, it's quite risky, dangerous, adrenaline, all those things that I sort of missed. I sort of found that replaced it slightly. So I kind of launched into that for like full force.
Racing or?
Yeah, racing.
Wow,
yeah, competing.
okay. Yeah.
On a 600 class, so nothing crazy. But for me, that gave me back a lot of the things that I'd lost sort of post accident.
Okay. But riding a motorbike then led to?
Yeah, right. So, yes, it's car crash after car crash. So the motorcycle racing was fine, had a few offs, but racing on track is actually quite safe. Everything's designed to crash. There's an ambulance on every corner. I also road ride, so I became a road instructor and really enjoyed that side of things, mainly teaching safety and that kind of stuff. But one fateful day on a holiday, riding to Wales, I came into contact with a transit van, and he carried on going that way with my leg between the wheel and the wheel arch. So it was an experience that.
Oh my God. Okay. So, and again, you say these things that like they're minor mishaps, and but again, what happened? So in hospital, what was the extent of the injury? How long were you there?
Yeah, I mean, it was weird. The sort of the collision was quite slow. It wasn't anything, normally you would just think, oh, I've been hit, and the bike would go over and you pick yourself up. But because it's sort of taken the leg with it, it felt really like minor. And then I remember laying down and thinking, oh, this feels a lot worse. And then because it was in Wales, it was then an hour before the medics got to where I was. So
an hour?
It was an hour, yeah, from the collision to getting any painkillers. So that was.
What was going through your brain?
I sort of knew how serious it was, but not 100%. I thought it was going to be really serious, but the amputation hadn't really come across. I thought, oh, it's just going to be really badly broken.
Yeah.
But I thought, whatever happens, I've already been through this. I've already been through a life-changing injury. This will just be the same rinse and repeat. I kind of got this. So I was like, whatever happens, like this will be a new opportunity to go and, go through that again, and it'll be okay. So that was my kind of thought process at the side of the road.
This is at the side of the road. Yeah. And then so you eventually get to hospital and doctors say, what do we discover? What's gone on at that point?
So initially they wanted to try and repatch the leg. It was never going to be a working leg, but they said what we can do is we can take a load of muscle and tissue off your good leg and try and rebuild your kind of foot and leg and the bits you've lost and kind of stitch it all together. And it was 50-50 whether it was a good idea or not. But I thought if I don't try it, I'll never get the chance to do it again. So I went through 5 operations to try and put it all back together.
Wow.
That was horrific. That was a month of being in the hospital and then just taking you to operations, sewing bits back. That was uncomfortable. And in the end, one day they just came in to do a random check post-op.
Yeah.
And the nurse sort of pulled back the kind of the covers and just went white. And she rushed off and got a doctor who came and immediately kind of started shouting and was like, surgery immediately, like you take your leg off. There's it's gone bad. There's no way of putting this.
What were they worried about? Like sepsis? And...
Yeah, it gone septic and it gone black overnight. And then when they came in the morning, they were like, if we don't get this off now and it carries on, then you won't be here. So I had about 8 minutes to come to terms with, like, it's going to come off. I was like, okay. So that was a rush. And that they put me to sleep after that, and that was sort of the last I remember of it.
So then you wake up and you realise you're now an amputee.
Yeah, that was a weird day.
It's such
I've got all these socks,
answer.
like I don't know what to do with them all.
So anyone watching this or listening to this has to understand the level of pool humour that we're used to.
Yeah.
But seriously, try and be serious just for 1 second.
All right, I'll try.
How do you come to terms with it? When it's a huge part of your life?
Yeah,
to change.
yeah, it was, but it was done at that point, so there was
Yeah.
no point in kind of reminiscing. The biggest thing I remember being anxious about was when I could get back on my bike. That was because it had become kind of
Yeah.
my identity, and I love my racing, and I love the people around me that were racing. And I just remember the biggest blow was when the surgeons came in and were like, "We don't want you getting back on a bike in the next some years because this will be too fragile. If you come off again, you'll bleed out before the ambulance gets to you. You'll have like 8 seconds
Yeah.
to." So they were like, "Do not get back on a bike." And everything else I took with a pinch of salt, but that they were really adamant was a no.
Yeah.
And that sort of was the biggest blow. It was like I knew the amputation would be okay, and the rest there have been countless amputees, right? And lots of people have gone and do some amazing things. So I wasn't worried about that. I was sort of excited about what this would be adventure wise. It's like, oh, Paralympics, like, so, like there must be something I can go and do, right? But it was the no bike that was the bit that crushed me.
Yeah. So even positive Paul struggled at that bit.
The no bike bit, yeah, I struggled.
But you were prepared to do as you were told and stay away from the bikes.
I was on a lot of drugs, so probably that was it's the one thing.
At that point, you were being well behaved. Okay, so you're accepting this to an extent.
To an extent, yeah.
Somehow you've ended up as a racing car driver, and that happened quite quickly.
Well, so as I was brooding about not getting back on the bike, I had a visit from really, really lovely organisation called BLESMA, which is the British Army Limbless Association. Yep. And because I'd already been a veteran from before, they came and saw me and said, "How are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, it's fine, the bike." And he said, "Well, I don't know anything about bikes, but there's this team that race cars." And he knew Dave Player, and he said, "That's all I know." I said, "I know they take kind of races and things like that. Here's their details." And we had a pleasant chat. He left 30 minutes later, and 31 minutes after he first told me about it, I emailed Dave Player, who emailed me back like in 20 minutes saying, "Yep, yeah, as soon as you're ready, come down and have a go in a car."
I mean, that's a typical Dave response. Anyone that was keen to get involved, he would be all over it, super keen to get everyone involved. So, and Dave is was the lifeblood of the team and got the team to where it is now. We wouldn't be here without everything he did, and I'm sure he was super enthusiastic in everything he said to you. But were you a bit like, "Hang on a minute, is this too much too soon?" Or were you?
No, it's exactly what I needed. It's exactly what I needed to hear. I knew I would be give or take out of that hospital in 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks, and so I knew that then I just had to find the next day that they were testing to get down to the team and go and get in a car, because that gave me a focus to then get through the physio, which I didn't want to do because who likes physio, right? But I thought if I've got something at the end of it, that for me was right, I'll throw 110% in physio, because the quicker I get out of here, the quicker I can go and sit in a race car and go and do something cool.
So that became the new focus.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. It was like every day it was like, right, where am I at? How quickly can I leave? When's my next kind of opportunity to get the next bit done towards discharge?
So, and how quickly was it? Where was that first experience with Team BRIT? Where was it, and how long did it take?
So it was a Brands Hatch, and it was with Jamie Falvey, who was an instructor with team at the time, and it was exactly 3 weeks after the operation to take the leg off.
3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah.
I think honestly, like, obviously I know the story in parts already, and I just think there are very few people out there that would go through what you went through and suddenly decide, I need to be out there that quickly dealing with this and actually grabbing hold of life again.
The medics were dead against it, so I had to promise them I wasn't going to. Yeah, don't mention to them. But it is what I needed. I needed to kind of immediately get back on the bike, and I did get back on my bike. The day I got out of hospital and rode it up to my favourite spot with friends and family, and that was the way of kind of dealing with it.
So was that bike ride? Was that about a bit of closure, or?
I wanted to make sure I psychologically could still do it. And I didn't know how to, because I didn't have a prosthetic, and I was sort of got the wheelchair to the bike, and then some friends held the bike up, and then sort of got on the bike, and then I get going, and I thought, I don't even know how I'm going to stop. I have to make sure to remember to stop on this side, because otherwise I'm going to fall over. So that was kind of a big kind of just tick in the box. I had to get back on it and kind of make sure it was going to be okay, and it was fine.
Okay, so back at Brands Hatch, what was your first impression of the team?
Still on a lot of drugs.
Did that help?
Yeah, it did. So I met JJ. JJ looked after me like a saint, and I didn't know how I didn't know JJ was going to become such a big part of my life.
JJ, our current chief engineer.
Yeah, chief engineer, who's a very dear friend and an amazing engineer, and I love him dearly. But he was the first person that strapped me to a race car. I've never been in a race car. I've been in go-karts, as a kid and stuff like that. But that was
so didn't know this man who was strapping you into a car.
Yeah, and he didn't know me, and he didn't know I just had my leg chopped off. He found out at the end of the test, but I didn't know one had mentioned it, so he was just thought I was another person turning up.
And so what was the car that you went in?
It was the 1 Series back when it was a 4-5 door. So I think we still have it, but it's now a reshell 3-door. But it was the original 1 Series that I drove.
So did you drive, or were you passenger, or both?
I drove it, yeah. So Jamie took me out first, I think, just to show me kind of.
Yep.
And obviously I know Brands Hatch really well. I've been around it on a bike, but it's completely different going around it in a car. It just felt really alien.
And using our hand controls.
Using our hand controls as well, because I didn't have a prosthetic at this point. That would come sort of months and months later. But the hand controls were great. You just picked it up and you could drive. And I was like, well, this is fine. I just go and do this.
Can you just stop a minute, Paul? Bobby, could you just pop your head up there for me?
Hey, Bob.
I'm trying to be hidden, okay?
We're keeping this in the episode. Bobby's here, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, Bob.
I totally did not crawl in that way a minute ago.
I didn't even notice him. I was like,
I thought it was a dog, and then I realised it was Bobby. Anyway, we're going to carry on because that's funny. So sorry. So that was your first experience of the hand controls.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I thought they were amazing, and it's what I needed, because although I don't have a leg, I can't. And I was really worried about not being able to drive and all that really basic stuff. And suddenly here was a group of people that had just moved all of the pedals up into the steering wheel. It was the best thing ever.
And and giving you a way to do it, I guess, a way for you to get back into the kind of stuff you wanted to do.
I couldn't believe they were letting me do it. I thought, God, they're nuts. Why would they let me just drive this car around, which is worth a lot of money? And there's me just getting out of hospital and all these drugs. And I should have mentioned it, but
we won't go too much into that. So from that minute, did you think, right, I want to be part of this, or did you have to go and think about it, or kind of what was the process into you becoming a part of the team?
No, I got an invite a week later to go and see Al. And again, when I first met Al, it was up at Dunsfold, and I didn't realise then how much of a part of my life he would become. Yeah. And how I love that guy to pieces. He's an absolute genius. He's a fantastic guy. But when you first meet someone, you don't know, you can't comprehend that they're going to become who they are to you. But I just knew I wanted to be, in any way I could, a part of it. I would have been happy making the tea, to be honest with you, just turning up to races and just being a part of this amazing organisation. But they decided to stuff me in a car, and that was the beginning of it, I think. And that really has been the start of something nuts when we think about what you're about to do this year. Yeah. So but we won't get to that yet. So let's go through the starts, because you are like perfect example of how we've taken on a driver and supported their development from, effectively a rookie. You hadn't been a racing car driver at that point to something quite different now. So talk us through that stage, kind of how you started racing, the kind of racing that you've done so far, and how that progression has worked. So I started off in the 1 Series with the lovely Tyrone, who's a lovely man. Love T. We miss T. I do miss T. I wish he would come back and do some more stuff with us. So spent a year with T in the 1 Series, and a couple other rookies that sort of were on the same program at the same time. Had a really good season. Then got up to the 240. So when I did Brit Car on the 240, again with T. At the start, and we had an interesting year. We had a few mechanicals, but we always managed to turn it around with the team kind of 100% behind us. And that year for me was kind of the instrumental learning year of how to be with the team. And the more you put in, the more you get out. That was the informative year for me, I think. That taught me a lot in the 2 Series. And then one day they said, do you want to drive the McLaren? And it was the end. I think it was the end of the season with the 240, and there was a 6-hour race at Donington, and it was with James Whitney and Chris Overend, who were racing it that year. And we turned up, it was pouring with rain. It was torrential. I mean, the worst rain you've ever seen at Donington. And they were like, there you go. And I was like, oh, me? And they were like, yeah, just go and race that for an hour or whatever. And I remember getting into it and thinking, this is the best thing ever. Oh. It was terrifying. And I thought, God, if I muck this up for these guys. But it all worked out. We got a podium. It was an amazing race. And that was sort of the bounce I needed to just don't think about it. Just get in the car, just drive it as best as you can, look after the car, bring it home. And that was a really valuable lesson. What does it feel like when you get on a podium? Oh, it feels, I always feel really guilty because I'm the last little cog in a massive line of effort that all the team have put in up to that point, and then me and another driver get in and we spend like an hour to how many hours in a car, and we do our bit and we get out and the car's on a podium, and then we're the only people that get on the podium. It's like the 100 or so people behind the scenes that have got that car to where it is, and I just feel really guilty that I can't get everybody on the team up there. That's the worst bit about being on the podium. It's really weird, but
yeah, it is a team effort, and it's amazing watching the crew at work every race and seeing what they're doing to keep you guys out there. But it's your part in that is critical. Quite frankly,
I do get that, but we're on a podium celebrating, and they're packing the truck up and doing all the hard graft, and without those guys, no one really ever appreciates how hard the crew work. And,
that's true. Yeah,
and what an amazing job, and not just the crew, yourself and all the people that make Team BRIT what it is. It's so much goes on to get that podium, and it's like, it's not the drivers, it's we just literally just tick that last box.
Everyone. But we do need you out there, Paul. We're not much of a racing team without drivers, so we're very pleased that we've got you.
Still look great.
So you said that the 240 was like a learning point, and then getting to the McLaren probably was like the next, quite literally the gear up. And then at what point did you kind of think, I'm in this long term, I want to be part of the Le Mans dream, I want to be with these people all the way?
Yeah, that still feels really surreal to me, because at no point have I thought I'm in that part of it. I just want, the first year in the McLaren was the first year it felt serious.
Yeah,
the two BMWs, like, loads of fun, we were laughing every 5 minutes. At no point was there pressure or anything like that. It was just load of mates going out there trying to do their best. McLaren came along, and it was suddenly like, oh, this starts to feel really real. The cars are more expensive, the racing is faster, the coverage is more intense, the scrutiny is more intense.
Yep.
And so you sort of start to feel that pressure a little bit. It's good because it makes you focus, but you still don't kind of you think, well, this is just for 1 year, and then it turns into 2 years, and you think, okay, well, next year, and at every point stuff has just come together. And it's carried on getting better and better and better, but it never feels like it should do that. It just feels like you put your head down, you do as much hard work as you can, and just see where you end up. And touch wood, we're still going.
And this is all built to a very exciting 2026.
Yeah.
What's happening this year, Paul?
So this year we've managed to secure a GT3 BMW M4. So it's the first time the team have run a GT3, and we're going to go and run that as a test year to go and see what it would be like to run something like that at Le Mans.
So I had a really good chat with Al about this, which is on a previous podcast, and we were talking about what a step up that is for drivers and for the crew, and it's massive. There's no hiding from that fact. So how does it feel to be one of the two drivers doing this?
Such a privilege. It is. I never thought in my wildest dreams, if you asked me as a kid what I'd end up doing, I had a whole plan, and this is nothing like the plan I had. So much better than the plan I had. I never thought I'd get to come and do this, and it still doesn't feel real. I wake up every day and it feels a bit like a pipe dream, and it's all going to come, crashing down. I'm going to wake up and it's not real, but it is real, and we're doing it, and it's so exciting.
It is, and I'm just going to embarrass you now, but I don't think there's many people that deserve it more. I don't think people realise the effort that you put into this team and into everything that you do, but also the way that you have helped us ever since you've joined us as a driver. So a lot of people won't know that you coach and mentor other drivers, you help us with business development, you help us with sponsorship, and it's deserved. It really is.
Oh, you make me go very red. It doesn't feel like that. I just want to make if I can do something for the team, I feel like I want to do it for the team. It's such an amazing organisation. It's such a lovely group of people. How can you not just get absolutely involved with it on every level? Because it's such an amazing opportunity to do this. This doesn't come along very often to very many people, so I'm going to grab it with everything I've got and hold on until I'm not useful anymore.
Oh no, there won't be a day when you're not useful, honestly. And it's a really nice story with you and the support that you've had as well, because as some people know, drivers have personal sponsors, we have team sponsors which support everybody, but you've got some personal sponsors that have been part of your life forever, way before the team actually, and they've backed you from the start of this, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. So The relationship I've got going back the furthest is from a friend called Simon. When we were 4, we know each other since we were 4 years old, and we've had very separate lives, but we've always maintained our friendship.
Yeah.
We've been friends ever since that moment. And when he found out about this, and he's a biker as well, so he sort of gets it and knows kind of the risk involved, and as soon as I mentioned I was going to do this, he was like, yep, I want to be a part of that. I want to sponsor you. I want to help kind of with that part of your life, and he's been there right from the start. And also a company I used to work with called QAV, I used to go and do truck driving for them. I just like anything with wheels basically, and they used to let me drive the trucks around Europe, and I absolutely adored that job. And again, the team there are such a family based team. It was sort of an extension of, you know, what I miss from army days, is that kind of group of people and belonging to something.
Yeah.
And as soon as I sort of said, this is, you know, happened and this is what I'm doing, I just sort of said, you know, is there anyone you know that you could point me in the direction for? Because I need to go and find sponsorship, right? And that's the next big part of joining the team, is you have to then go off and do that work.
Yep.
I said, can you use your address book to help me find someone that might be interested? And they went, nah, but we want to do it. And I've cried down the phone because it was just, they didn't even hesitate. You know, they were just like, of course we'll do it, you know, we'll support you. And they've been there with me from the beginning. And it was just insane that they didn't even bat an eyelid. They were like, yep, no problem at all.
Yeah, what a lovely story.
So, yeah.
And they must be so chuffed for you, seeing how far you've come and seeing what you're doing this year.
I don't think they even like racing, but
But they like you, and that's the important thing.
They like going and see whether I can do it. So
Yeah.
And then that's part of what I want to do, is sort of try and give back to that story of, it doesn't matter whether it's racing or skiing or swimming, whatever it is. It's just about, you know, getting up there and going and doing it.
So we touched on before, the first time you were with Team BRIT, you actually had Jamie in the car with you.
Yes.
And you've now got to 2026 and you're going to be partnering up, driving with him in a GT3 in the GT Cup. So tell me a bit about that relationship and how it's been, kind of learning from him and now pairing up with him.
So I first met Jamie obviously at Brands, like we said. Immediately he struck me as really professional. He's really on it. He's really kind of focused on the job he's doing. But at the drop of a hat, he can change. As soon as he doesn't have to be focused, he's laughing and joking. And I really appreciate that. And he's ex-Royal Marine, and there's a sense of humour there that's absolutely on point. And so I get on really, really well with him. I love the guy to pieces. So having the chance now to drive with him, I know how good a driver he is. He's absolutely red hot. So to have this year to learn from him in a car like this is just, it's insane. I mean, it's going to be, I can't wait.
It's so exciting. Yeah, I mean, hearing you guys talking about it as well, and kind of looking at who the competition is, who's entered and how you feel about that. So is it a mix of excitement and nerves, or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I don't know at the moment. I've driven the car in Portugal, absolutely amazing car. And we had Dan Harper on come down to us and help us get along with the car. But I'm still right at the beginning of that journey of how to drive that car properly. It's my first car with aero. Jamie's had way more experience than me, so he's able to point me in the right direction and help kind of reduce that learning curve as much as possible. But there's still a lot to learn. I still get in the car every time. I'm like, oh, what am I doing? And then I have to dial into it, and then I'm okay.
And at the same time, you're obviously going to be watching your teammates racing in other championships. Right. So people that you've teamed up with before. And then obviously we've got 2 new drivers joining us for their rookie years or testing years. So how does it feel to kind of see that side of the rest of the team, and how much you want to have an influence on the people that are coming in?
That's always the most beautiful part, because no matter what we're doing over in our little corner, there's all stages of the team going on everywhere else. Like you say, the rookies are going out in their first time, and I think I get more out of watching them go out for their first race. I remember when I watched Noah go out for his first race, and it was just the most elated feeling, because you living that moment that you had a few years ago through someone else's eyes, and you get to sit back and watch it kind of unfold, and they go through the same highs and the same lows and the same learning curve, and it's the most amazing privilege to be able to sit and kind of watch that and then help where you can and kind of experience it from afar.
He's just such a nice guy. Everybody needs a Paul in their life. I just, because you actually mean every word you're saying as well. I know this isn't just niceties. It's just so lovely to hear, and you can definitely see how some of the other people in the team look up to you. So it's a lovely thing to do.
Not too much, I hope. Bad influence.
So predictions. What's going to happen over the next couple of years?
Yeah, go fast, don't crash. I genuinely don't know. All I know is I'm going to put everything I have into it, and the results will be the results that come from that. And it's what I've been doing so far is every time I get in the car, just do the very best that I can. And I'm not a talented driver at all. I know that, and I look at other drivers and I can see how talented they are, and I don't have that kind of innate background, that skill level. I haven't had the years of karting, and I understand I have a massive kind of skill gap there that I just can't match. The only thing I can do is work harder to try and close that gap, and so that's my kind of way of trying to make up my deficiencies as they come, onto the racetrack, is just work really hard and see how you get on.
But that's 100% what I know you'll do. I can't wait to see
Just
it.
massive chancer, basically.
And you have got some talent. Let's just put that on record.
No.
Don't think we'd be putting you in that car if we didn't think you did.
Hold my beer.
Okay, so I have to finish by asking you who you want me to interview next.
Oh, okay. I think, have you interviewed Noah yet?
No.
Okay, so Noah, I've really got on with Noah, the way he's sort of come up, and he's absolutely grabbed the nettle as far as being a driver, because when he came to see me, he didn't even have a driving license, so his first race was in this Citroen C1, and he was like, okay, so this is going, this is stopping, this is turning. We're like, yep, good luck. And he just sort of just disappeared down the track and did it. So I've really enjoyed watching him come up through the C1, then the BMWs, now into the McLaren last year, and now he's in the new GT4 BMW this year. And I think he's
back with Asher.
And I think, I love watching the progression. Everyone makes really good progression, but because I've sort of been a part of Noah's progression, that would mean a lot to me to sort of hear how his thing is going.
Amazing. Noted. Okay, he's next up.
Okay.
So thank you, Paul. It's been nice. And good luck this year.
Thank you very much, Lucy.